I found out my mother-in-law was in a private Facebook group called Widows in Preparation. And the weirdest part? She wasn't a widow. Not yet. When I first saw the name of the Facebook group, I thought it was a joke. Widows in Preparation. I was scrolling through my mother-in-law's iPad, trying to help her recover her Messenger account. She'd been complaining for days that she couldn't send pictures to her church friends anymore. I had no reason to snoop, until I saw that group name sitting in the list of private communities she'd joined. The thing is, my father-in-law, Robert, is very much alive. He's a retired firefighter who still goes jogging every morning at 6. He's healthy, loud, and kind of impossible to ignore. So why would his wife, my sweet, overly polite mother-in-law, Marianne, join a group for widows? At first, I laughed under my breath. Maybe it was one of those grief support groups for women who expect to be widows one day, like Emotional Preparation or something. But curiosity got the better of me. I tapped on the group. It was private, but her account had access. I could see the banner photo, a black and white picture of a woman standing in front of a gravestone. Underneath, the description said, "For women ready to face life's hardest transition, mentally, emotionally, and practically." Still strange. Then I noticed the posts. Most were anonymous confessions, but some names were visible. One woman wrote, "He doesn't know I stopped his heart medication. I tell myself it's what he wanted." Another, "3 more weeks until I'm free. I've already chosen the urn." My stomach twisted. I scrolled faster. So many of them were talking about their husbands like they were already dead, or about to be. I told myself it couldn't mean what it sounded like. People post dark stuff online all the time. But something about the way Marianne commented, short supportive messages like, "You're doing the right thing, dear," and "Freedom is worth the pain," made my skin crawl. That night when I got home, I couldn't stop replaying it. My husband, Ethan, was half watching a football game when I asked, "Do you think your mom's been acting weird lately?" He shrugged. "She's always weird." "Why?" I hesitated. I didn't want to sound paranoid, but the words tumbled out anyway. "I found a Facebook group she's in. It's called Widows in Preparation." He laughed. "Oh God, that sounds like one of her church support things." "It's not. It's darker than that." Ethan muted the TV. "What do you mean, darker?" I explained what I'd read, how the women talked about being ready to lose their husbands, some even hinting they were making it happen. He looked at me for a long second, then burst out laughing again. "Come on, babe." "You think my mom's in a murder club?" I wanted to laugh too, but the image of her soft, polite comments, "You're doing the right thing," wouldn't leave my head. Over the next few days, I tried to ignore it, but little things started to feel off. Marianne invited me and Ethan to dinner that weekend. Robert was there, cheerful as always, but I noticed how often she refilled his wine glass. Normally, she never let him drink more than one. When I subtly mentioned it, she smiled without looking at me. "He deserves to relax a little, don't you think?" Robert laughed. "Finally, someone's on my side," and took another sip. But the way she watched him, not lovingly, not worriedly, just watching, made my stomach tighten. After dinner, while she was cleaning up, I went to help her in the kitchen. "Marianne," I said carefully, "I wanted to ask, that Facebook group you're in, Widows in Preparation, what's that about?" Her hand froze midair, holding a dish towel. Then she turned to me, smile perfectly calm. "Oh, that," she said. "It's just a silly group my friend added me to. We talk about life insurance and estate planning. You know how women worry about those things." Her tone was so casual I almost felt embarrassed for asking. But when I said, "Oh, okay," she added softly, "It's smart to be prepared, though. You never know when something could happen." Something in her eyes, calm, almost satisfied, made my pulse race. That night, I couldn't sleep. I went back on her iPad the next morning before returning it, telling myself it was for peace of mind. The group had a new post, anonymous. He'll never see it coming. After all, I've been the perfect wife for 38 years. Below it, a comment from Marianne H. "You're stronger than you think." My chest went cold. I spent the rest of the day trying to convince myself it was all some weird coincidence. But when I mentioned to Ethan that maybe we should check on his dad more often, he sighed. "Seriously, stop. You're turning into one of those conspiracy people. My mom wouldn't hurt anyone." Maybe he was right. But 2 nights later, Marianne called us, frantic. "Robert collapsed in the garage," she said. "The ambulance is on the way." Ethan dropped the phone and ran for his keys. I stood there, frozen. Robert survived, barely. The doctor said it was carbon monoxide poisoning. Apparently, he'd been working with the car running inside the closed garage. Marianne told everyone it was a terrible accident. But when I saw her standing by his hospital bed, quietly holding his hand, there was something about her calm expression that made my stomach twist again, like she'd been expecting it. That night, when we drove home, I told Ethan again, "You have to look at that Facebook group." He snapped. "Drop it, Megan. She's just an old lady who almost lost her husband. Stop making her the villain." I didn't say another word. But deep down, I knew I was right to be afraid, because the next morning, I got a Facebook notification. "Marianne H. has invited you to join. Widows in preparation." I stared at the Facebook notification for a full minute, frozen. "Marianne H. has invited you to join. Widows in preparation." It wasn't a mistake. It was my mother-in-law, personally inviting me into that dark little world. I didn't accept it, of course, but I couldn't stop thinking about why she'd sent it. Was she testing me? Did she somehow know I'd already looked at her posts? Or worse, was she trying to include me in whatever that group really was? That morning, Ethan was already gone for work. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at my phone, debating whether to tell him. But every time I brought up his mom lately, it ended in an argument. So instead, I took screenshots. The invitation, the group name, her profile picture beside it. Then I called my best friend, Claire, who works in digital marketing. "Can you find out anything about a private Facebook group called Widows in Preparation?" I asked. She paused. "That's a creepy name. You sure it's not some meme thing?" "I'm sure," I said. "I think it's more serious than it looks." She said she'd check what she could. The rest of the day dragged. I couldn't focus on work. Every noise in the house made me jump. Around noon, Marianne texted me a picture of Robert in his hospital bed, smiling weakly, still hooked to oxygen. "He's doing better today," she wrote. "Thank you for your prayers." I typed back something polite, but my hands were shaking. That night, Ethan came home in a better mood. He said his dad was recovering and might be released soon. "See," he told me. "Everything's fine. It was just bad luck." I nodded, but I could feel that quiet fear still sitting in my chest. Then, around 10 p.m., I got a message from Claire. "Okay, weird. That group's invite link isn't public. You can't search it, can't even find the name in Facebook's system. It's invite only, and whoever runs it deletes posts every 24 hours. Deletes posts?" I asked. "Yeah, like they don't want a trace of anything. Also, small detail, the admin's email domain matches a law firm in Georgia. Family law, wills, inheritance stuff. You sure your MIL isn't in some kind of estate planning club?" I told her about the anonymous posts, the confessions, the timing of Robert's accident. There was a long silence. Finally, Claire said, "Megan, I think you should start recording everything. Screenshots, texts, timestamps, just in case." Her words sent a chill through me. I didn't want to believe I was living in that kind of story, the one where people fake accidents and talk in code online. But deep down, I knew she was right. The next day, Robert came home from the hospital. Marianne threw a little welcome back dinner. Ethan insisted we go, even though I tried to get out of it. The moment we walked into their house, I noticed something off. The garage door, the same one where Robert had passed out, was gone. Replaced. Brand new. I asked Ethan quietly, "Did they already fix it?" He shrugged. "Mom probably wanted to get rid of the smell." Marianne met us at the door, all smiles. "My favorite couple," she said, hugging us both. Her perfume was stronger than usual, almost suffocating. Robert looked pale but cheerful. He kept saying how lucky he was to be alive. Marianne just smiled at him and kept refilling his glass again, this time with apple cider. Halfway through dinner, she looked at me across the table and said, "Megan, have you thought about your future? You and Ethan don't have life insurance yet, do you?" Ethan chuckled. "Here we go," he said. "She's obsessed with that stuff." But Marianne didn't laugh. She stared straight at me. "It's important," she said softly. "Sometimes we don't get second chances." I excused myself to the bathroom, heart pounding. Inside, I locked the door and checked my phone. Another notification. A new message from Marianne. "You still haven't accepted my invitation." I swear I almost dropped the phone. I stared at that message for what felt like forever, wondering what she meant. When I got back to the table, she was calmly serving dessert, acting like nothing had happened. That night, after we got home, Ethan noticed I was quiet. "You're not still thinking about that group, are you?" I didn't answer. I just showed him the message. His expression changed. He looked uncomfortable, maybe even a little scared. "That's weird," he admitted. "I'll ask her about it tomorrow." But he never got the chance, because early the next morning, I got another call, this time from the hospital. Robert had been rushed back in. Heart failure. Sudden. He didn't make it. When we arrived, Marianne was already there, sitting beside the hospital bed, calm and dry-eyed. Ethan fell apart in her arms. I stood by the doorway, watching her face. She wasn't devastated. She wasn't even pretending to be. When she noticed me watching, she gave me a small smile, the same calm, polite smile she always had. Then she whispered something I'll never forget. Some women wait their whole lives to be free. That night, I checked her Facebook again. Her profile picture was black. Her relationship status had changed to widowed, and the group, Widows in Preparation, had disappeared completely. After the funeral, Marianne was radiant. That's the only word for it. She didn't cry. She didn't stumble or shake when the coffin was lowered. She stood there in her black dress, perfectly still, like someone watching a show they already knew the ending to. Ethan was a mess. He blamed himself for not visiting his dad more, for not pushing him to see a doctor sooner. Every time he broke down, Marianne would put a hand on his shoulder and whisper, "He's at peace now." But when her eyes met mine across the cemetery, I swear she smirked. The next week was a blur of casseroles, condolences, and endless paperwork. Ethan stayed busy helping his mom sort through insurance claims and documents. I stayed quiet, waiting for a moment when I could look through her things again. That moment came faster than I expected. Marianne invited us over to go through Robert's belongings. She said she wanted Ethan to take anything sentimental, old photos, tools, whatever he wanted. I went along, pretending to help. While Ethan was in the garage, I slipped into Marianne's office. The computer was on, her Facebook tab still open, but the group was gone, completely erased from her activity log. Still, I clicked through her messages. Most were harmless, until I found one conversation labeled only with a first name, Kathy. The most recent message was a week before Robert's accident. "Kathy, is everything ready?" Marianne. "Yes. By the end of the month, I'll be one of you." My hands shook as I scrolled. There were older messages too, about timing, insurance, and the plan. I took pictures of all of them on my phone. Then I found an attachment, a PDF titled Draft Will Robert Henderson.pdf. I clicked it open. The document was dated 2 months ago, notarized, and it left almost everything, the house, savings, insurance, to Marianne. Ethan only got a small trust fund, with a note saying, "For education and future children." But one line stopped me cold. This document replaces any previous wills, including the 2016 version. I remembered Robert mentioning that old will once, years ago, when Ethan and I first got married. He'd said, "Half goes to Marianne, half to Ethan, fair and simple." So this one had to be new, too new. I didn't hear her footsteps until it was too late. "Looking for something?" Marianne stood in the doorway, holding a cup of tea. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. I fumbled. "Oh, I was just... Ethan asked if you had any old..." She set the tea down and walked closer. "You shouldn't go through people's computers, dear. It's not polite." I forced a nervous laugh. "I was just checking the printer settings, I swear." But she wasn't listening. She leaned closer, lowering her voice. "Curiosity can be dangerous, especially when you don't understand what you're seeing." Her tone was calm, but the meaning was clear. I mumbled something about needing to help Ethan and slipped out. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely text him. "We need to leave. Now." He didn't understand. He thought I was overreacting again. That night, after we got home, I showed him the screenshots of the messages and the will. "Ethan, your dad didn't write this. Look at the dates. She changed everything." He stared at the screen for a long time. Finally, he said, "That doesn't prove anything. Dad could have updated it himself." 2 months ago? I said. "Right before the first accident?" "Ethan, come on." He rubbed his face. "Megan, stop. Please. I can't do this right now." He walked out of the room, leaving me alone with that sick, heavy feeling. The next morning, I called Claire again. She listened quietly while I explained everything, the messages, the will, the way Marianne caught me. Then she said something that made my blood run cold. "Megan, I found something. That group, Widows in Preparation, isn't new. There've been other versions of it. Same admin name, same invite-only setup. Facebook keeps shutting them down, but they pop back up every year or so. There are rumors that women in those groups collect life insurance after suspicious accidents." My throat went dry. "So, she's part of something bigger?" "I don't know," Claire said. "But it's not just her." That evening, Ethan got a call from his mom. She wanted him to come over alone to help sort out more paperwork. I begged him not to go. He laughed. "You're acting like she's going to poison me or something." He went anyway. He was gone for hours. When he finally came home, he looked pale. She asked me to sign something, he said quietly. Some kind of amendment to the estate, said it was just a formality. I felt my stomach twist. Did you sign it? He nodded slowly. She said it was for tax purposes. I wanted to scream. That night, I couldn't sleep. Around 2 a.m., I went downstairs for water. That's when I noticed it. A new email on Ethan's laptop from Marianne. The subject line, "Now you're protected too." And attached was a document labeled Joint Life Insurance Policy, Ethan and Megan Henderson. But the policy had only one active beneficiary, Marianne Henderson. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat at the kitchen table with Ethan's laptop open, staring at the document. Joint Life Insurance Policy, Ethan and Megan Henderson. Beneficiary, Marianne Henderson. It didn't make sense. Why would she be listed? I wasn't even related to her by blood, and if this was real, it meant Marianne had somehow arranged a policy that would pay her if either of us died. I tried to calm down, but every instinct in me was screaming that something was horribly wrong. When Ethan woke up, I asked him straight out, "Did your mom talk to you about a life insurance policy?" He frowned. "What? No. Are you sure? Because there's a document on your laptop with her name as the beneficiary." He rubbed his eyes, clearly annoyed. "Okay, this has to stop. You're crossing a line, Megan. You're going through my stuff, my mom's stuff, because she's dangerous," I said, louder than I meant to. "She killed your dad, Ethan. And now, stop." His voice cracked. "Don't say that again." He stormed out before I could answer. By the time he came back that night, he was calmer, almost too calm. He said Marianne had shown him the real paperwork. According to her, she just added her name temporarily while setting up a family trust. He said it was for convenience. But when I asked to see that paperwork, he got defensive. "You don't trust me. That's the problem, not her." That's when I realized Marianne was winning. She was isolating me, making Ethan doubt everything I said. So I started keeping notes. Dates, screenshots, copies of every message. I even printed out the life insurance document and hid it in my closet, just in case. 2 days later, I got a call from the insurance company. A woman named Susan left a voicemail. "Hi, Mrs. Henderson. We just wanted to confirm the beneficiary information for the joint policy your mother-in-law set up last month. If you have any questions, call us back." Last month? That was before Robert's second accident. My hands went cold. I called back immediately and pretended to be confused. "I just want to make sure I understand the coverage. Who's listed as the policyholder?" The woman hesitated. "That would be Marianne Henderson. She's the policy owner, and both you and your husband are listed as insured parties." I hung up before I could even respond. Marianne owned the policy, not us. That night, I told Ethan everything again. He just stared at me, silent, then said, "You're turning this into something it's not." I wanted to shake him. "She's planning something. Don't you see?" He sighed. "Megan, I'm not doing this. I lost my dad. I'm not going to lose my mom, too." Then he grabbed his keys and left. Said he needed to clear his head. He didn't come back until morning. He said he'd stayed at Marianne's. When I looked at his phone, there was a new message from her. "I'm glad you finally understand who's really on your side." That's when I knew I was on my own. Over the next week, I tried everything. Calling lawyers, the insurance company again, even the police. But without evidence of a crime, no one could do anything. "It's just paperwork," they said. Still, I couldn't ignore the feeling that Marianne was moving closer. She started showing up at our house unannounced, bringing food, smiling, pretending to be the perfect mother-in-law. One afternoon, she handed me a casserole dish and said, "You look tired, dear. You should eat. Keep your strength up." I didn't touch it. That night, while Ethan was showering, I dumped it in the trash. Inside the sauce, under the top layer of noodles, was a small white pill that hadn't dissolved. I took a photo before flushing it down the toilet. The next day, I packed a small bag and went to stay with Claire. I didn't even tell Ethan. She believed me instantly. "We're going to the police again," she said. "This time with everything you've got." We compiled everything. The screenshots, the will, the life insurance papers, even the photo of the pill. The officer listened politely, but his face stayed blank. Finally, he said, "Mrs. Henderson, I understand your concern, but unless you can prove your mother-in-law intended to harm you, there's nothing actionable here." I wanted to scream. That night, I couldn't sleep. Around 3 a.m., my phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. "You shouldn't have left. It's not safe out there alone." No name, no profile picture, but I knew the wording. The perfect grammar, the calm tone. It was her. I turned off my phone and stared out the window until sunrise. The next morning, Claire went to make coffee and froze. "Megan," she said, voice shaking, "there's someone parked across the street." I looked. It was a gray sedan, the same one Marianne drove. She didn't knock. She didn't come inside. She just sat there, engine running, watching the house. After a few minutes, she pulled away. On her way out, she slowed just enough to look straight at me through the window. Then she smiled. The kind of smile that says, "You're next." The day after Marianne sat outside Claire's house, I couldn't breathe properly. Every noise made me jump. Every time a car passed, I checked if it was gray. Claire tried to calm me down. "She's just trying to scare you," she said. "You can't let her win." But it wasn't just fear anymore. It was the realization that Marianne had access to everything. Our bank accounts, our insurance, even our address through Ethan. And Ethan? He was changing. He'd been texting less. When he did, it was short, distant. "Mom's not doing well. I'll stay here tonight. Please don't make this harder." He wouldn't answer when I asked where he was staying or if she was with him. By day 4, I realized I hadn't seen my husband in almost a week. I called his work. They said he'd taken time off. Family emergency, apparently. That night, I checked his email, the one synced to our shared tablet. There was a message from Marianne. Subject: Next steps. "I know this isn't easy for you, but soon everything will be taken care of. Trust me. You'll understand." No signature, no details. It hit me then. She wasn't just isolating me. She was preparing him. I packed another bag. This time, I didn't tell anyone. Not even Claire. I used a prepaid phone and booked a motel 2 towns away under a fake name. I didn't plan to run forever, just until I could figure out what she was really doing. But that night, when I finally checked into the small, dimly lit room and turned on my burner phone, there was already a voicemail, her voice. Calm, steady. "You shouldn't have left. You're making Ethan miserable. He's signing the papers tomorrow. After that, you'll be safe." "We all will." My chest tightened. Signing what papers? I called Ethan over and over until he finally answered. He sounded exhausted. "Megan, please stop calling. You're making this worse." "Worse how?" I said. "What is she making you sign?" He paused. "It's just legal stuff. House transfer. She says it's easier if it's all under her name for now." "Ethan, no! That's how she did it with your dad," he sighed. "You don't know what you're talking about. I saw the documents. It's fine." I wanted to reach through the phone and shake him. "Please listen to me. She's planning something. He hung up. That was the last time he answered my call. The next morning, I woke up to an email from a law firm in Atlanta, the same one Claire had traced to the Facebook group. "Dear Mrs. Henderson, we're confirming receipt of the updated joint estate documents submitted yesterday by Mr. Ethan Henderson and Mrs. Marianne Henderson. Please note that in the event of a fatality involving either insured party, all assets will be automatically transferred to the primary surviving beneficiary." I felt my blood freeze. They'd already filed it. And according to that clause, if I died first, Marianne would inherit everything. I didn't even think. I grabbed my bag and drove straight back to Claire's. She opened the door, half asleep, and when she saw my face, she didn't ask questions. I showed her the email. She read it twice, then whispered, "We have to go to the police again. But this time, with your husband's signature and the date, that's proof she's manipulating the estate. We printed everything. We even brought a timeline. But when we got to the police station, the officer looked at me strangely. "Mrs. Henderson, your husband already came in this morning." My heart dropped. "What?" He nodded. "He filed a missing persons report. For you." I felt dizzy. Claire spoke up. "That doesn't make sense." "She's right here." The officer frowned. "He said you've been unstable since his father's death, that you've been sending threatening messages to his mother." "What?" I snapped. "That's not true." He looked uncomfortable. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but I have to ask. Do you have any proof of what you're saying about your mother-in-law?" I handed him the papers, the emails, the screenshots. He skimmed through them, then sighed. "These don't show a crime. Just insurance documents and messages. Without direct evidence of harm or fraud, there's not much we can do." Claire tried to argue, but I could tell it was useless. As we walked out, she whispered, "She's flipping the story, making you look crazy." That night, I stayed up reading every line of those insurance papers, trying to find one detail that could prove what she was doing. Then I saw it. A small line in the fine print. "Coverage effective 12:09 a.m., October 15th. That was tomorrow. The policy wasn't active yet, but it would be. If something happened to me after midnight, she'd collect everything. I looked at Claire, panic rising. She's not waiting. It goes live tonight. Claire grabbed her keys. We're leaving. Right now. We packed fast and drove toward a motel near the next state line. I kept checking the rearview mirror, half expecting to see that gray car again. It didn't show up on the road. But when we reached the motel and stepped out, I saw it parked 2 spaces away, empty. Engine cold. On the windshield was an envelope. Inside, there was just one printed note. Running only delays the inevitable. You'll understand soon, Megan. M. I didn't want to touch the note, but Claire grabbed it before I could stop her. Her hands were shaking. She found us again, she whispered. We went inside the motel room, locked the door, and shoved a chair under the handle. I sat on the bed, staring at the envelope, while Claire tried to calm me down. Maybe she just wants to scare you, she said, but I knew better. The policy went active at midnight. Marianne wasn't warning me. She was counting down. I looked at my phone. 7:43 p.m., less than 5 hours. Claire was pacing. We have to go to someone higher up. State police? FBI? Anyone. I nodded, but I could barely think straight. My hands wouldn't stop trembling. Then Claire's phone rang. Unknown number. She frowned, then answered on speaker. Hello? Marianne's voice filled the room, calm, smooth, like she was calling to confirm a dinner reservation. You should let Megan come home, dear. She's not safe with you. Claire froze. How did you get this number? It doesn't matter. What matters is that you don't interfere. Some things need to happen. It's better for everyone. Then the line went dead. Claire immediately turned off her phone. She's tracking us. Somehow. I checked mine too. Location services were off, but maybe Ethan had shared access to our accounts. He knew all my passwords. New phones, Claire said. Now. We drove to a convenience store 20 minutes away and bought 2 prepaid phones. When we came back, the gray car was gone. For a second, I let myself believe we'd shaken her. Then I noticed the motel door was open. Everything inside had been tossed. My clothes, our bags, even the note, all gone. Claire's face went pale. She's been in here. I looked at the clock. 9:11 p.m. The room felt smaller by the second. We packed what little was left and drove again. No plan, just movement, somewhere she wouldn't expect. Eventually, we ended up at an old rest stop near the county line. It was quiet, almost too quiet. I sat on the curb, staring at the stars, trying to make sense of everything. How does she always know where we are? I whispered. Claire hesitated. You think Ethan's helping her? The thought made me sick, but deep down, I'd already wondered the same thing. When I first found the group, he laughed. When I showed him proof, he defended her. Now he was filing reports saying I was unstable. Maybe he wasn't her victim anymore. Maybe he was part of it. I pulled up the photos of the group messages again, zooming in on one old post I hadn't noticed before. The anonymous ones all had similar writing. Calm, measured, perfect grammar. Just like Marianne's. But one reply caught my eye. We'll handle both together this time. It'll be cleaner. 2 likes. One from Marianne H., the other from an account named E.H. I stared at the screen until my chest went numb. E.H. Ethan Henderson. Claire leaned over my shoulder. Oh my God, he's in on it. I didn't want to believe it. But it explained everything. Why he stopped answering. Why he defended her. Why he didn't seem scared anymore. They weren't trying to kill me for her benefit. They were doing it together. The realization hit so hard I could barely breathe. I looked at the time again. 10:37 p.m. Claire said, we need to leave the state. Tonight. We got back in the car and started driving north. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the wheel. My mind kept replaying the message Ethan got from Marianne. You'll be protected too. Protected from what? Half an hour later, my burner phone buzzed. Unknown number. Against every instinct, I answered. Ethan's voice. Calm. Quiet. You don't have to keep running, Meg. Where are you? I said. You're scaring people. Mom's worried. I'm worried. You're lying, I said, my throat tight. You signed everything. You're part of it. Silence. Then, you don't understand. It's already done. Nothing's going to happen to you, okay? We just needed to make sure. He stopped mid-sentence. Make sure of what? I said. That it looked natural. I slammed the phone shut and threw it on the floor. Claire's knuckles went white around the steering wheel. Where do we go? She said. Anywhere, I said, just not back. We didn't notice the headlights behind us until it was too late. A gray car, speeding up, staying just far enough back to be deliberate. Claire cursed under her breath. That's her. The car followed us for miles, matching every lane change. At one point, it disappeared, then appeared again, closer. At 11:42 p.m., we turned off the highway toward a rural exit, hoping to lose her. The car didn't follow this time. We pulled into a dark parking lot behind an old gas station, engine off, hearts pounding. Maybe we lost her, Claire said, but then I saw it. On the windshield again. Another note pressed under the wiper. I stepped out, hands shaking, and unfolded it. This one had a photo attached. A picture of me and Claire, taken from outside the motel window earlier that night. And the message below it read, "You don't have to run anymore, Megan. You're already covered." I looked at the timestamp on the photo. 11:59 p.m., exactly 1 minute before the policy went active. Claire didn't sleep that night. Neither did I. We left the car parked behind that old gas station until sunrise. Too scared to move, too scared to stay. When the sun came up, she looked at me and said, "We can't just run forever. We have to understand what this is." I nodded. Because the truth was, I'd spent weeks trying to stop Marianne, but I'd never asked why. We drove to the nearest library, the kind that still had public computers and no security cameras in the parking lot. I logged in under a fake name and started searching. Widows in Preparation. Every version of it was gone. Facebook, Reddit, even cached pages. Wiped clean. But then I found something else. An article from 3 years ago. Local news. Headline: Police investigate series of suspicious deaths linked to online support group. My heart started racing. The article described 5 women across different states, all widows, all recently enriched by life insurance claims. The last paragraph mentioned the same Atlanta law firm that appeared on our documents. Authorities suspect the group provided emotional support and legal guidance for women planning to exit marriages through natural means. No arrests were made. I scrolled down to the photos of the women involved. My stomach dropped when I saw the last one. Kathy. The same name from Marianne's messages. Claire leaned in, whispering, "That's her friend. The one who asked if everything was ready." It wasn't a Facebook hobby. It was an organization. And Marianne wasn't just a member. She'd become a recruiter. We searched deeper. Public records, obituaries, insurance filings. It was all there, hiding in plain sight. Patterns of deaths, all ruled accidental, followed by new wills and identical life insurance transfers. Every case involved that same law firm. Every one. Claire printed everything while I just sat there shaking. "She's doing it again," Claire said, "but this time with Ethan's help." I looked at the stack of papers and whispered, "No, she's training him." That's when it hit me. Widows in Preparation wasn't just for women. It was an initiation. A way to teach people how to survive grief they planned themselves. Marianne wasn't preparing to be a widow. She was preparing Ethan to become one, and I was the practice run. We left the library with a folder full of proof and drove to the nearest police department. This time, we didn't ask for a patrol officer. We demanded a detective. When we showed him everything, the emails, the article, the signatures, the identical law firm name, he stopped us halfway through. He'd heard of the case. It had been quietly shut down 2 years ago. "The files were sealed," he said. "No charges, no suspects." "Why?" Claire asked. The detective hesitated. "Because someone high up in that firm has connections in law enforcement. You're not the first person to bring them up." My heart sank. "So they'll get away with it?" He looked at me, serious. "Not if we have evidence." "Do you still have the documents you mentioned?" I nodded. He asked for copies. He said they'd run background checks, contact the insurance company, look for proof of forged signatures. For the first time in weeks, I felt like maybe, just maybe, I wasn't alone. We left the station and drove back toward the motel. Claire kept trying to keep me calm. "They'll handle it now. She can't touch you." But when we got to the motel parking lot, the gray car was gone. For a second, I thought maybe it was over. Then I saw Ethan sitting on the curb, waiting. His eyes were bloodshot, his hands shaking. He looked broken. "Ethan," I said, not sure whether to run or hug him. He stood up slowly. "You were right." Claire and I froze. He looked at me, eyes full of something between guilt and terror. "Mom, she told me it was just insurance stuff. She said it was to protect me if anything happened to you. I didn't know she was—" His voice cracked. He looked down at his hands. "She said she did it to keep us safe. She said she had to finish what she started with Dad." Claire stepped closer. "Ethan, Where is she now? He swallowed hard. I don't know. She disappeared last night, took her car, left her phone. Then how did you find us? I asked. He looked at me with hollow eyes. She left me a note too. He pulled a folded piece of paper from his jacket, same handwriting as the others. Don't stop her this time, Ethan. She's the last piece. Claire's voice broke. She's coming here. Ethan nodded. I think she already is. At that exact moment, headlights flashed across the parking lot. The same gray sedan pulled in, slow and deliberate. Claire grabbed my arm. Get in the car. Now. Ethan didn't move. He just whispered, I'll distract her. You go. I shook my head. No. But he was already walking toward the car. Marianne stepped out, calm as ever, wearing her black dress like she was still in mourning. Sweetheart, she said softly, you shouldn't have brought her here. Ethan's voice cracked. You killed Dad. She tilted her head. He wanted peace. I gave it to him. Then she looked past him, straight at me. Megan, she said, smiling faintly, you should have accepted my invitation. It would have been easier. Ethan shouted something, but before I could move, Marianne reached into her purse and Claire screamed. There was a flash of light, a loud pop. Ethan fell to his knees, and Marianne just stood there smiling as the sirens began to echo in the distance. Everything after the gunshot felt like a dream I couldn't wake up from. The sound echoed against the empty parking lot, and for a moment, I couldn't tell if Ethan was dead or just in shock. He clutched his shoulder, blood seeping through his fingers. Claire dragged me behind the car. Call 911, she yelled. I fumbled with the phone, barely able to dial. My voice shook as I gave them the address. There's been a shooting. My mother-in-law, she shot my husband. Please hurry. Marianne didn't run. She just stood there beside the gray sedan, gun hanging loosely at her side, her face perfectly calm. When the sirens finally came into earshot, she turned to me and said, You see? You ruined everything. Then she raised the gun again, but not at me, at herself. I screamed, but before anyone could reach her, she pulled the trigger. The sound was smaller this time. Final. When the police arrived, it was chaos. Paramedics rushing Ethan into an ambulance, officers shouting commands, flashing lights painting the parking lot red and blue. Marianne's body lay near the car, her face still peaceful, like she'd just finished something important. I couldn't process it. I just stood there, shaking, while Claire tried to hold me up. Hours later, at the hospital, the detective from the day before showed up, the same one who'd told us about the sealed case. He looked grim but focused. He sat across from me and said, You were right, Mrs. Henderson, about all of it. They'd searched Marianne's car. Inside, they found 3 things: a flash drive labeled WIP Members Archive, a file of forged insurance and legal documents connected to the Atlanta law firm, a handwritten ledger listing over a dozen names, including mine. Each name had a date next to it. Mine was October 15th, the day the policy went active. The detective said the flash drive contained years of messages between group members, detailed discussions about creating accidents, changing wills, manipulating insurance payouts. But the biggest shock came later. The group wasn't run by random widows. It was started by an employee at that law firm, someone named Marianne Hollis. That was her maiden name. Before she married Robert, before she became Marianne Henderson, she had been one of the founding members. She'd started Widows in Preparation as a financial scam for grieving women. But somewhere along the way, she'd started believing in it, convincing others, even her own husband and son, that death could be a kind of freedom. The detective said the FBI was opening a new case. They believed Marianne had been manipulating clients for years, rewriting wills, setting up policies, staging accidents, and when Robert tried to stop her, she made sure he didn't. When Ethan learned the truth in the hospital, he couldn't even look at me. She used me, he said quietly. She said she was protecting us. He was lucky. The bullet missed his heart by less than an inch. After surgery, he broke down and told the police everything. How she'd convinced him to sign the insurance documents, how she'd planted stories about me being unstable, how she said it had to look natural. For weeks after, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her smile in that parking lot, calm, certain. But one night, I got a call from the detective. They'd finished decrypting the flash drive. Most of it was legal documents and chat logs, but one folder was different. It was labeled Inheritance. Inside were dozens of videos, recordings of Marianne sitting in her living room, speaking directly to the camera, like confessions. He asked if I wanted to see one. I said no, but part of me still wonders what she said. Maybe she was explaining why she did it. Maybe she thought she was passing something on. A philosophy. A legacy. The detective said they were still finding new members of the group. Some had already remarried. Others had moved states. Some were even men. Widows in Preparation wasn't dead. It had just evolved. Ethan and I tried therapy, but too much damage had been done. Every time I looked at him, I saw the signatures on those documents, the lies he believed, the way he almost let her destroy me. We separated 6 months later. I moved across the country, changed my name, and deleted every trace of my old life. But sometimes, late at night, I still get friend requests from blank accounts. No photos, no posts, just a name, always a woman's name. And every time the message is the same. You should have accepted the invitation.